the St. Louis City MLS team is in the process of building what seems to be one of the most interesting football projects at the moment. I had to come take a look for myself. My starting point is always, if you do something new, you try to pick as many good ideas as you can from people who've done it before. I think in football there's always two ways you can do it. You can try to solve problems with money, just throwing lots of money at it, or you can have ideas. As weird as it sounds, coming here to St. Louis and finding somebody like Lutz setting up the club, it's also very logical to me. And I think it makes total sense. So I don't find it weird, I just find it super interesting to see how that translates into American context. Setting up a club from scratch is not something that we come across very often, if at all, in a European context. So I just think that's a fascinating situation. Covering European football for over 20 years, one thing I've learned is the importance of top training facilities to help players perform to their best and to create a culture of excellence. I'm just going to get out and say hello, yeah? So what's up? Fancy seeing you here.
How are you, right?
It's
long time no see. Und? All good?
Klar.
You want to go down on the field?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's go down there. Rafa knows football extremely well. I think he can analyze for himself what we're doing here. What I hope he keeps in his mind, that everything we do is not just about winning every Saturday a game. It's so much more than football. Here our chiropractor, Lev. Hey, what's up, my friend? So he's a specialist, so if you have a bad bone, he cracks everything back into place.
I have many bad bones.
Me too. Welcome to the first team locker. A locker which is built round to get that feeling of the, I would call it the Ritter der Tafelrunde, the Knights of the Round Table. Mm-hmm. This is a very important part. The floor is movable, so the players basically work on underwater gymnastic, underwater cycling. I think it's easy to build a facility where every single tool you want is in there, but they need to fit together, and I need to make sure the players are using it or the coaching are using it to the maximum. So for example, if you look at the gym is built in a way right above my office, and because of these garage doors, it gives us the opportunity that all that equipment is used to the max, and the players directly after warm-up stepping on the field, winter or summer, so we can use a much bigger kind of ways, same as the way the changing room is built, the medical facilities are built. So it's all built in a kind of flow of circle of movements that everybody uses everything the whole time.
And that you also talk to each other, right? Because if you are close together, then you have these natural connections between people of different parts of the setup.
Of course.
Who otherwise wouldn't meet because they are one is there and one is there.
Exactly. So it's also built that we always mingle, that we always together. We kind of like forced it in a way that there is a connection between everybody. Plus, I don't believe always, if you're looking for a new coach, that you have to look on the outside. I believe you look on the inside.
Fostering your own talent, not just on the pitch, but also for the...
Exactly. Not just the coaches, but also in the scouting and the recruitment and all of that. You wanna empower your own people.
How did you get here?
By plane.
Okay, that's good.
When Carolyn called me up, literally out of the blue, and said, hey, we have a new project coming up in the MLS and in America. And once we had that more detailed conversation, there was like after 30 minutes, something just made click in my head. which said, this is exactly what I want to do. I told the ownership how my vision was, how I thought about creating a philosophy, but not just being successful on the field by winning games and winning titles, but being also successful off the pitch. I always like to see myself as a bit of like a chef, you know, like you're mixing a little bit of that and putting a little bit of this, and you're ending up with a wonderful meal.
And how did you come up with the structure for this place?
I really put my head down for a few days and started to create a master plan. So everything we do here is based on this 3-pillar system, which is community, academy, and the professional team. My big goal is to create here the best development and youth system in the United States.
Don't force this play if it's not on, Green. Don't force it if it's not on.
For me, the community is just as important as the academy and the professional team. Soccer is such a big part of the community here and of the people here that they deserve to have that MLS club here. The way St. Louis is structured, I see it as a Midwestern city where people are hardworking, they're modest, they're down to earth, and we have physically strong players with a good mentality, with a mentality to get out there and fight and die and scratch.
Influenced by the dominating style in the German Bundesliga, Lutz has begun implementing tactics based on high pressing and counter-pressing.
Any team who comes in, who flies in St. Louis and they see the arch, that's the moment when they need to feel scared. And the moment when they say, we don't want to be here. We hate to play against St. Louis because it's physically demanding. They're always putting us to the edge. If we achieve that, and we do that in the youth, as well as in the MLS Next Pro and in the pro team, I think we can be very, very successful.
And in order to have that integrated playing style, you need coaches who get it, who understand it, who have the experience, who will also then coach and get better. How did you set up all of that?
I knew what I want. I needed a guy who is hungry. I needed a guy who believes in the setup, who believes in the philosophy. And with Bradley Carnell, I think, we found the perfect match.
Boom, get it, open up to the weak side. Come on, Reds! Dida, you'll be inside, that's not your reference.
John Hackworth, former coaching educator with US Soccer, he's also another guy which just fit perfect to my idea of football.
Before meeting with head coach Bradley Carnell and other first-team staff, I got an opportunity to talk to Director of Coaching John Hackworth. So, John, what attracted you to this pretty amazing job?
Well, look, I've been through one expansion MLS team before, previously in Philadelphia. And when I first started talking to Lutz, his vision of what he wanted this club to become, coupled with Carolyn and the ownership group, that this project to me was one that was almost impossible to pass up.
Beyond the tactical dimension of fitting in to your philosophy, what is it that you're looking for in a coach?
Emotional intelligence, because when you talk about players at this level and developing even teenagers that are extremely talented, there's a lot of coaches that know how to do X's and O's. But it's the coaches that understand how to get the most out of somebody. We have very strong values in this club that we want to treat people in a certain way. We want them to feel that they're here because they're special people, and that we want to build them to be the best that they can possibly be.
How does that integrated vision reflect on the kind of players that you need to fit in well?
Yeah, it's a good question, because when you take the style of play that Lutz wants us to implement, it does have very specific player profiles. But more importantly, you need players that have resilience, toughness, mental toughness. What's their character like? What are their values outside of just being exceptional footballers on the field?
But you had a bit of a test bed, I guess, with City 2. How did that go? What kind of lessons did you learn from implementing your philosophy on the pitch?
Yeah, essentially we had a year or a full season to practice everything that we want to do with our first team, in City Park next year. I always think that you need to win in order to develop. It's kind of hard to, develop without that winning, and we were able to do that.
And what does success look like for you in your mind? What are the dreams? What are the aspirations for that first ever season?
Well, for sure, we want to put a good product on the field, and we want our fans to get behind us and support us, and we want to win.
Can we press him, Gray?
One-touch finish on any of the 4 goals.
To see that my son getting those eyes to watch him, it's incredible.